Charles John Huffam Dickens was born on February 7, 1812, in Landport, Portsmouth, England, the second of 8 children to John and Elizabeth Dickens. His father was a poor manager of the family's finances and was eventually sent to a debtor's prison. The family's poverty forced Charles to leave school when he was 12 years old to begin working 10-hour days at Warren's blacking warehouse. He earned 6 shillings a week pasting labels on blacking. The strenuous and often cruel work conditions made a deep impression on Dickens and later influenced his fiction and essays, forming the foundation of his interest in the reform of socio-economic and labor conditions. Fortunately, Charles was able to leave this work behind and find employment as a newspaper reporter. By the mid-1830s, he was also starting to write fiction. His first novel, The Pickwick Papers, was published in 1836. That work was a popular success, allowing Charles more time to write other works, Oliver Twist, Nicholas Nickelby, and The Old Curiosity Shop. In December of 1844, A Christmas Carol was published. It is likely that A Christmas Carol stands as his best-known story, and has inspired many versions and adaptations. This is a simple morality tale of the redemption of Ebenezer Scrooge, and for many the true meaning of Christmas. A prominent phrase from the tale, Merry Christmas, was popularized following the appearance of the story. The term Scrooge became a synonym for miser, with bah humbug dismissive of the festive spirit. More importantly, Dickens developed a new secular vision of Christmas, which focused on the importance of family, generosity, and the joy and happiness of the season. Dickens continued to write more successful novels, including David Copperfield, Great Expectations, and A Tale of Two Cities, the latter of which was published in 1859 and has sold over 200 million copies. Dickens' novels were not just great literature, but also works of social commentary. At a time when Britain was the major economic and political power of the world, Dickens highlighted the life of the forgotten poor and disadvantaged within society. Through his journalism, he campaigned on specific issues, such as sanitation and the workhouse, but his fiction probably demonstrated its greatest prowess in changing public opinion. He often depicted the exploitation and oppression of the poor, and condemned the public officials and institutions that not only allowed such abuses to exist, but flourished as a result. Many of his readers will also remember Charles Dickens for the characters he created. The hundreds of people who filled his novels had believable personalities and vivid physical descriptions. They are among the most memorable in English literature, the likes of Ebenezer Scrooge, Tiny Tim, Jacob Marley, Bob Cratchit, Oliver Twist, the Artful Dodger, Fagin, Miss Havisham, David Copperfield, Mr. Micawber, Samuel Pickwick, Wackford Squeers, Uriah Heep, and many others are so well known that they continue to this day to be household names. In his later years, Charles traveled throughout Europe and the United States, and often gave readings of his works. Charles Dickens continued to write and work until the day of his death. In 1870, he was buried in the Poets' Corner of Westminster Abbey, and a printed epitaph circulated at the time of his funeral that said, "He was a sympathizer with the poor, the suffering, and the oppressed, and by his death one of England's greatest writers is lost to the world."